we're live with, I got questions for you. What opens with a storm having broken out on the boat? And what closes with a storm having broken out, literally, on the land, and people got to go inside. If you guys Married to Medicine, Season 5, Episode 13, Circle of Truth, you're correct. Thank you so much for clicking on the video or joining in live and sticking around to see how we get from opening to closing. I am Angela, and the channel is Be Fabulous You, and we're working on 1,000. We're working on 1,000 subscribers. So if you are one of my first 1,000 subscribers, yay, thank you so much. And if you're not, what you waiting on? Go on and subscribe. It don't cost nothing. It ain't gonna hurt. It's easy. Just find the red button that says subscribe. It's red. SUBSCRIBE. Subscribe. Let us proceed. Okay, so we pick up where we left off a couple of weeks ago with it's the couple's trip. They're on a boat. An argument has broken out basically between, it's like Quiet versus everyone. And Mariah is kind of sitting back, watching the storm brew in a way, and so are the men. They drinking, and I don't know, it was like, it just looked kind of weird to me. I guess that's television, and maybe that's how it will be in real life. I don't know. If I saw some people fighting and arguing, what I'd do, I'd probably just be like watching. I don't know. So Mariah has a valid point on the double standard. We've taken it easier on Quiet. I think this is Simone saying it. And the Mariah is like, goo goo gaga. Is the baby gonna cry? Goo goo gaga. Is the baby gonna have a tantrum? And I really think that, I don't think that people have been easier on Quiet because she's the youngest. I think they've been harder on Mariah because she's an executive producer and has lorded it over people in a way that kind of got on people's nerves. But I think that it's a good storyline to say, oh, it's because she's the youngest. Because then if she is the youngest, and I'm assuming she is, it kind of like takes, I don't know. It kind of like gives you something to work with without, so I thought it was smart. I can't quite articulate it, but, so that's Mariah. Goo goo gaga is the baby gonna have, that's what she's saying in her interview. Then Jackie is, Simone is like, has she gotten it easier? Has she gotten it easier? She's asking everybody. And Jackie is kind of like, yes, she has gotten it easier, but Simone is going to have to stop that screaming. And then she's asking, Simone is like, yes or no? Does Quiet get a pass? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? It's like you act like you're above everybody. We Heavenly Simone, and you act... We Heavenly Simone, I think it's a few of them who have gotten together and said that they feel that she acts like she's above everyone. So Jackie, Toya, Heavenly Simone, we all feel that you act like you're above us. So, for example, you're late, so Quiet is like, well, I mean, what are you saying specifically? I mean, I need examples. Give me receipts. And they're like, well, for example, you're late all the time. We always have to accommodate you being late. And it's like your time is more valuable than everybody else's time. That's what your behavior shows. By you being late, it's like a disrespect to all of us who were on time. And Quiet acknowledges that. And she says she's working on it. But in her interview, she's like, oh, they're just going after Quiet. They had to look for something and they couldn't find anything. And so then they came up with this. Which I kind of feel like, I mean, I don't know if they were looking for something or not, but I do know that a lot of people find it very disrespectful when someone is habitually late. Like I think every once in a while if someone is late, I don't know if that's a big deal. But I think if you're always the one who's late, that can make people feel a certain way. Some people can definitely feel a certain way. So Dr. Heavenly is like, you blow up easily. And then we see some footage of Quiet being kind of serene. So I didn't really know why that was evidence of her blowing up easily. And then, Dr. Heavenly is like, you don't want it with Quiet. She won't forgive you. And that might be true. And then Quiet says something about Simone. I don't know what happened with Quad, but she said, I need a moment. I need a moment. I think that's what happens. And then Dr. Gregory, now, right when the fight was starting to like, woohoo, or the argument or whatever, the boat had arrived at like a swimming spot. And so the men had gotten off and gone swimming. So Dr. G has come back on and he's like, are you okay, Dr. Gregory? And, Mariah Quad is like, I'm okay. Like she's not really here for Dr. G. We see Doc Daddy Damon, and he does seem kind of, I don't know if it's necessarily slow, or maybe his personality combined with being on TV, combined with not wanting to be out here on TV looking crazy, means that he kind of moves and, and maybe because they don't want to say anything too crazy, they just keeping it goo goo gaga, just keeping it real light and fluffy. But somebody had said that he seemed a little slow in the way that they interacted with each other, seemed a little something. It might have been James Colwell in his review, because y'all know I love a review. So I don't know, but anyway, but I'm watching, I'm kind of like, yeah, it is something going on. Dr. Heavenly is excited about couples therapy. She's designed some questions that she thinks will be life-changing. So she's really feeling very optimistic here on the front end. Dr. Contessa and Dr. Scott are getting ready for couples therapy. We see Quad, this is a montage. They were a couple during this episode. We see Quad. You hear the house ticking? We see Quad and Dr. G getting ready for the bonfire, and Curtis and Dr. Jackie pre-gaming and strategizing for couples therapy. Then we see Dr. Heavenly, they're at the couples therapy, and she's like, when they walk in, it's like a real cute setup. It's like a circle. There's like a couple hot seats or whatever. And Dr. Heavenly is like, I want you all to work with me. I want you to trust with me. This is the circle of truth. That's the title of the episode. And then Quad is like, well, the shoes of Dr. Simone and Cecil are very big to fill. So we don't know about Dr. Heavenly, but we know that that couple they do couples therapy. Dr. Simone and Dr. Cecil seem, a little bit on the competitive side. Dr. Simone and Cecil seem a little bit on the competitive side about, the whole couples therapy thing. Like, maybe they like, like this is our thing, We see Jackie ask Curtis what, so we're up. This is Dr. Heavenly's couple therapies thing. She's designed questions for the couples to ask each other. So she says to one person in the couple, you ask your husband or your spouse, blah, 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 blah. And then she says to the other part of the couple, ask your spouse, blah, 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 blah. And in between, the people are supposed to answer it, and therein lies the breakthrough. Now, okay, so we start with Jackie and Curtis. She says, Jackie asked Curtis, what did she give you that I didn't? And then, Dr. Jackie is like, well, was there something in the marriage that may have opened the door? What did she give you that I didn't give you? And then Fancy Car Curtis is like, oh, no, you are the greatest. She can't compare to you. It was a miscalculation and bad judgment. Now, that word miscalculation made me feel uncomfortable. And I know a lot of times we're talking, we might not be very conscious of the words that we're using. Sometimes what we mean really comes out, and sometimes you just have like a slip. But I'm kind of like, a miscalculation? Like, what does it mean, Curtis? What does it mean? Oh, Fancy Car Curtis. I guess I'm not feeling him. Okay, so, and bad judgment, and then Eugene and Toya are like not buying it in their little interview thing. They like, oh, cheating is not a bad judgment, it's whatever. And then we see Curtis is told by Dr. Heavenly to ask Jackie, why do you act like you don't care? And then Jackie cries and she's like, I hurt, I sometimes equate emotions with weakness, but good or bad, that's how I handle my emotions. And then Contessa, in her little interview thing, talking to her husband or the producers or whatever, like, she ain't really buying it. She like, ain't nobody, married no doggone snow queen, no ice queen. He just didn't make her feel secure. That's, what I believe. That's what Contessa believes. And then maybe if they get out of, so they get out of the hot seat, Dr. Jackie and Curtis, and they hug, and then Jackie is wailing, crying, and Curtis is holding her. And then Simone is like, in her interview, Jackie strives for perfection, so it's good for all of the ladies to see, Jackie being vulnerable. Then Dr. Heavenly is like, has Eugene and Toya come up and has Eugene to ask Toya, why do you disrespect me in public? And Eugene is like, I'm not asking that question because I don't feel that my wife disrespects me in public. Now, up until that moment, I kind of felt like he might, but the way he answered, I really believe that he does not feel that his wife disrespects him in public, which kind of surprised me. So that if that's true, that bodes well for their relationship. If he doesn't feel disrespected, that's really, really important. Because from the outside looking in, to me at least, she does seem a little like, their way of interacting from her part in particular, it seemed a little like it's. So he like, I'm not asking that question. I don't feel that way. And then Dr. Heavenly is like, well, Eugene, ask Toya, is it me that you married or the things? And then Eugene and Toya laugh and they like, this is dumb. You're dumb. We're not participating in this. This is ridiculous. You not trained. You a mess. You a hot mess. This is some bull. You get in the hot seat. Did you make up these questions? Let me ask you the questions. Now, when she first sat down, Toya was like, oh, did you make up the questions? Okay, let's have fun. And then at the end, she's like, did you make up these questions? So she asked that again. It's very disrespectful. Bad marriage therapy. Toya, sit your ass up there so we can ask you some questions. Then Dr. Eugene is like, I'm trying to be respectful of Dr. Heavenly because I respect Dr. Eugene. Then we see Toya and Jackie and Mariah because things have kind of broken down. But Toya and Jackie and Mariah are kind of sitting together. And Jackie is like, well, she's asking the questions that the world wants to know because Jackie is kind of bought in and kind of feels like it's working for her. She's had a breakthrough. So she's bought in. And for your marriage, and then Mariah is like, it's okay to fight for your marriage, she says to Jackie, because I've been where you are. And then Toya is like with Aiden, and Mariah is like, yes. Now, I had seen this 3 or 4 weeks ago at the end of the last episode, it's been a while on some Bravo video, so I knew it was coming, so I wasn't shocked. But I guess this was like supposed to be one of the shocking moments on the episode. And it meant the world, Dr. Simone says to me, for Mariah to share something so personal and so dear to her to help me get through, this process. So, it's very much working for Dr. Simone. Is it working for her good? I guess if she like it, I love it. But I'm like, I don't know. I guess if it worked for them, it's good, right? Okay. And then we see Dr. Heavenly. And, and then we see, Mariah, she goes over to Aiden and she says that she told Dr. Jackie that we have been through, infidelity as well, just so that he would have a heads up or whatever. We see Dr. Heavenly and Simone. Dr. Heavenly is like, Simone, ask Cecil, do you feel that it's fair to invest our money without talking to me? And then Simone does ask that question. And then Cecil is like, well, sometimes we do things that are not always the right things. Like when you took money out to buy the Maserati. And then we have throwback footage. I don't remember this happening, but maybe I just, I don't know. And then, in the throwback footage, Simone is like, sometimes my hard work does pay off. Like, I guess she got the Maserati. It's being delivered, coming off the truck and everything. And her husband, Cecil, is like, you got a Mazzy? Like, what wine? And then Simone, back in, today at Couples Therapy in Barbados, Simone is like, stay focused on you. It sounds very tit for tat. So you're saying that you did that because I did that? I mean, which I think is a reasonable conversation for people who have been married for 20 years who are grown-ups to be having. And I mean, I guess you can't really account for emotions and how people handle things emotionally. But I guess I just don't have a lot of... I don't like petty. I don't like mean. So I feel like we need to deal with that issue and address, I don't know. So Cecil was like, why are we going over this same skit again? This is about reconnecting. I don't like this couples therapy. I don't like you. That's not a good question. That's a good question. You think that's a good question, Simone? I told you it was wrong. And he's yelling, and Simone is yelling too. And she's like, come out of here right now. You have lost control. And Dr. Heavenly is like, are they crying? And then Dr. Contessa in the interview is like, Dr. Heavenly is not good at this. This is like a psych ward. She is not tying together the counseling and communication thing. Like, it's just a mess. And Simone is like, you are not perfect. He thinks that he is. And Cecil and Dr. Eugene and Fancy Car Curtis are kind of like, hey, off in one section together, and then Simone and Jackie are together and hugging and comforting each other. And Dr. Eugene says to to Cecil, hey, it's a good time to go to your wife and say, I love you. I was pissed off. This is not about you. And I'm kind of like, it's kind of interesting that Dr. Greg is the therapist, but he ain't in this mess at all, really. At this, he didn't go to comfort the man who I thought was his friend, or to smooth things over with his particular skill set as a psychiatrist. I guess he's a psychiatrist. Maybe he don't have no meds on him, so he can't subscribe any drugs. And if he can't subscribe, I don't know what. Or maybe he feel like, I'm not working, so I'm just going to sit here and be on vacation and sip. Or maybe he feels like he's in so much duress and stress with his own relationship and marriage that he can't be worrying about nobody else's mess and stress and duress. I don't know, but I was just kind of like, that's interesting. And then Cecil does go to Simone, and he uses Dr. Eugene's script about, I was pissed off, I love you, blah, 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 blah. And at first Simone is smiling, and then she's like, we got problems. And Dr. Heavenly is like, well, should I continue? And I'm like, no. Or should I sit my ignorant behind down? And I'm like, yeah, sit down. But we go on to next is Quad and Dr. Gregory, with Dr. Heavenly still facilitating the process. And Quad is like, I'm not the type of person, this is her interview, to sit back and not share when everyone else is sharing, which she didn't say that exactly, but that was the sentiment. And I'm like, well, I don't know if that's been exactly my observation. It seems like when she wants to share, she shares. And when somebody asks her something that she doesn't want to answer, she's not going to answer it. So like when her girl Toya was like talking about sex and and what about you, Quad? Quad is like, I'm not answering that. So I feel like, I don't know if I think that's true. I think that what it was is that she figured she had the vibration was like on hot and heavy and ready. So she thought she was going to goad her husband into a fight to justify, because the way she even handled, again, I said, I don't like petty and mean. The way she was even interacting with her husband, I was just kind of like, I don't know. But see, she a little younger in her marriage and younger in her age than Cecil and Simone. And I mean, age is not necessarily a factor in how people handle their emotions and how people handle their business. So, I mean, it just is what it is. People do what they do, and what we gonna do? We just watch and comment, right? And I guess try to learn a little something to take back with us to our relationships to make us better. So, so they get up there, and Quad is like, basically, do you appreciate me? And Greg is like, yes, I appreciate you. You don't appreciate me. And Quad is like, I would do anything for you. Or she says, there's nothing I wouldn't do for you. And Dr. G is like, talk is cheap. And Quad is like, you have to bring me in. It's a constant job. You think all she needs is for me to pay the bills, and that she should be happy to be married to a doctor. But a title is a title, baby. And it was something in where she said that I felt like that was like a trigger point for her husband. And she knew that was a trigger point. Because I'm like, a title is a title. But it was like something in how she said it where I felt like she was like, zing, I'm about to get him now. And then Dr. G was like, it's not just a title, it's who I am, and then Quad is like, turn up, boo, turn up, and that whole like little, I'm like, what are you, I don't understand what you're, so I should love you for not doing the masculine things in the house. And then that was something else to me. It's kind of like, because there's like jokes on the internet or conversation that, Dr. G might be into men. I don't know if she feels that, if that's been a conversation, if he asked her to touch his booty and she felt a certain way. I'm not really sure, but it was like just something in that whole thing where it was like, I really wish I could understand what was not being said, because I felt like there was really a lot there. And Dr. G is like, disrespectful, that's disrespectful. The masculine thing is to take care of you, and I've been doing that since I got with you, when I got you your wax before we had sex or whatever. And then Mariah is like, in her little interview, she's like, it's okay for Quad to acknowledge that her husband has helped her. He needs to hear that. And then G is like, if I can't take the garbage out, then you take it out. And then Simone is like standing up. She's like, their session is over, and then a guy doesn't want to see guy, and then one of the guys is like, yeah, we don't want to see you guys fight. And then Simone is like, we don't have a professional counselor here. This is not helpful. It's a train wreck. And then Dr. G is like, it kind of is escalating, and Dr. G is like, let me talk. And then he's like, see what you are trying to do. I see what you're trying to do, Dr. Heavenly. You're trying to have folks address issues that they don't want to address, but you cannot open a can without having a way to close the can. So I guess that's his therapeutic assessment of the situation, which was valid and viable. It took legs and lived, because Toya was like all day nodding, and then Dr. Eugene is like, amen. Then Mariah is like, see, says the psychiatrist. That's the psychiatrist. And then in the interview, Dr. Contessa is like, bad juju. I'm glad this ain't Dr. Heavenly's regular job. And then Dr. Scott is like, yeah, I'm sure that chaos wasn't her objective. And Dr. Contessa is like, well, maybe. Like, genius. And I think it was her objective. I mean, I think, we know the lady is good at stirring the pot and not really, getting her mess in the, she wants to put your mess in the pot and stir it, keep her mess out. That's, she's been pretty effective at that. And then Dr. Damon Daddy, he gets up and he's like, my wife is a relationship expert, but even relationships experts have to learn too. We have deep issues in our relationship, but my wife can't express it. She has to grow into it. So find it in your heart to forgive her. We're going to work on it, and I'm going to help her. I'm going to help her work on it. And I apologize if I have offended any one of you in any way. Please forgive me. And then the crowd goes wild. They're like, yes, we love Dr. Daddy. We love Dr. Damon. And then we see Dr. Heavenly in an interview, and she's like, Dr. Damon is Team Heavenly. He has my back, right or wrong, and that's a perfect marriage. Now, I definitely believe that. I believe that in public, as much as possible, you should try to do your counseling in private with your spouse. I don't think you should be like out there. I always, as much as I could, I'm given where I am emotionally, I try to do the best I can to never be out here like disagreeing with my husband. I try to do that stuff behind closed doors and, do counseling in advance of a situation to minimize the opportunity for embarrassment or foolishness. But I agree with that. You want to feel like, because my first spouse, I did not feel like he was Team Angela. And that's a deep feeling when you're married, It's not a good, it wasn't a good feel. That was not a good part of my experience. I had a good experience with my first marriage in lots of ways, but that was not part of the good experience. Okay. So anyway, so she says that in her little interview thing. And then, that's a perfect marriage, she says. I don't know if I agree, but totally. But I definitely can appreciate some of the sentiment. Then Dr. Eugene is like, thanks for bringing a lid, And when you open a door, Dr. Heavenly, you got to have a lid to close the door. When you open a pot, you got to have a lid to put on the pot. And you did bring Dr. Damon. I'm here. I'm touching my wife's thigh. We holding hands, so it ain't all bad. Thank you for Dr. Damon. Then the next day we see, this is the little montage thing again. We see Dr. Jackie and Fancy Car Curtis. We see Dr. Simone and Cecil. We see Doc Daddy and Doc Heavenly. Simone is like, "Ooh, you popped off." And Dr. Heavenly is like, I did not intend to hurt anyone. And then we see Toya, Quad, and Mariah. They're going on a ride to Riri's place because y'all know Riri is from the Barbados. She's Bayesian. And then somebody says Toya getting into the car, she's pregnant. Now, this is something that has come up. This is like the third or fourth time that somebody on or off the show has mentioned the child being pregnant. So is the child pregnant? I don't know. Okay, so let's go on. Okay, so then back at the resort, Toya's driving the car. It's like a Jeep open type car vehicle. And then back at the resort, the men are meeting at the bar, and they like, we finally get away from the women for 2 seconds. And then there's a whole riff about wives wanting hubbies to be Life Damon. Oh, there's a whole riff about all of the wives want their husbands to be more like Damon. I'm like, really? I didn't realize that, but okay, if they say so. And then in the interview, Dr. Heavenly and Dr. Damon are like, Dr. Heavenly is like, yeah, an honest guy who doesn't cheat. And Dr. Damon is like, I'm not going to use this to jab at the people. We're not going to use these answers to jab at the people. So I thought that was kind of interesting too. That the wall, because there's the stuff going on in real life, and then there's a show and the entertainment factor, and that was like a crack in it to me. And then we see Simone. She feels Heavenly owes everyone an apology since everything went so far to the left. Was that Simone or was that Toya? And they get to Riri's place and they take a picture and they leave. The way it was edited, it was like they drove over there, took the picture, and they left. Like, they like, we don't want to be driving in the dark. And, but it was like they could have cut that scene out. Well, I guess the whole episode felt fillerish to me because Then we see Dr. G. He's talking to Fancy Car Curtis. Well, he's talking to the group of men, and Fancy Car Curtis is kind of smirking, and then Eugene and Scott are kind of like counseling him, in terms of like being a husband and what your wife. She says this, but she means that. If a man said it, it would mean this, blah, 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 blah. And then Cecil was kind of looking a little confused at Dr. G's confusion. Like, why is he confused by this? And then Dr. Daddy is like, she done gave me years of flux and list of stuff. And then one day she bring me to my daddy's grave. And I can't put into words what that means. And that to me is like a good... it's like a good statement on marriage, or relationships. Like, it don't be, you put stuff in, you have to deal with stuff, but then sometimes you just are able to withdraw some things that are really significant and beautiful and important. So this is their last night in the Barbados. We got a montage. Really, it ain't nothing that's going to happen to this in this part, but we got a montage of, Dr. Heavenly and Dr. Daddy. Dr. Heavenly is ironing. Then we got Dr. G and Quad is processing Dr. G's apology. He like, I apologize, and you ain't forgive me. And Dr. Quad is like, well, it's the first time you ever apologized, so I have to process it or whatever. That's not exactly how her tone was, but and then Toya and Dr. Eugene, you said he ready to go eat. Basically, that's what it seemed like. He said you like Quad, not Quad, Toya, and she's like, okay, very bad. I don't can hear. Okay, clear. So then Toya's husband want to go eat. Toya's husband wants to go eat. Why am I getting a bad connection? I'm sitting right here in the same place. That's the part I don't understand about. But anyway, I already told y'all nothing really happened in this section. So they enjoying the food, especially Dr. Eugene. Ooh, that pepper pot is good. Dr. Simone, dinner tonight is great. Great view. Last night was a catastrophe. Dr. Cecil says last night showed us that we're all family. And they're all like, yeah, we are family. And they talk about how they family. And Dr. Contessa's like, yeah, I see that. And then the table, concurs or whatever. And then a storm breaks out, literally. And the couples go inside. So that was it. I guess I give this episode like a 6 or a 7 out of 10. It was okay. Yeah, it was okay.
So that's what I got. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Thank you for being around, being on the line. I'm not sure who you are, but welcome. Today is the best day ever. Like, comment, share, subscribe. I'm going to do notes on the. I got a couple other things to do, and then I also have a quad ready to go and some making of models, but I can only do about 4 videos a day. So. Because they told me it's spam. I'm waiting for somebody to dispute it or explain it to me. But that's what I got. That's what I got. So be you. Michael Jackson. Happy Black History Month. This is the Black Michael Jackson. I got a girlfriend that looked like Black Michael Jackson. I got a friend looked like the white Michael Jackson. How did that go? Because somebody was saying it about Sammy Sosa the other day. And I was like, ugh. Okay. Be you. Be fabulous. Be fabulous you. Be you. Be fabulous. Be fabulous you.